Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It's May 28th, 2014, and let's get straight into our news tonight. Top story, Bilderberg 2014. Reporters arrested as cloak of secrecy descends. Now, this is happening in Copenhagen. As of this broadcast, the Bilderberg conference has yet to kick off, but we do have boots on the ground, and Paul Watson was witness to one of these arrests.
Because we're in a public common area. Listen, I know my rights. Yeah, and you cannot infringe on my rights. Listen, you cannot put your hands on me and you cannot refuse me to leave. You cannot do that. If you do that, I will press charges against you. You cannot touch my camera and you cannot touch me. If you touch me, I will press charges on you. Listen, I'm going to walk out this door. You ask me not to do something, I respect your wishes. You touch me, that's assault.
I will ask you first to delete.
You could ask me anything you want. You could ask me to go to the moon. Doesn't mean I can get to the moon.
Something else. Don't go to discussion in another direction, please.
It's fine.
Just
listen,
check everything what you have.
We're walking out of here. We wish to leave your premises immediately. We haven't done anything wrong. We're in a public common area. We use your business. And you cannot take my private property away.
This is something
this is my equipment. This is my video footage. You are very nice. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm not touching you.
What's your name? My name's Luke.
It's right here on the name tag, yes? Okay,
what's your first name? I don't care. Daniel, Luke. Daniel, Luke, Luke.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. I understand you got rules. You got bosses that probably will try to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it.
Like you.
We will walk out of here.
He doesn't have a boss.
I don't have any bosses.
Yeah, you have it.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. That's the difference.
From where you take money to pay your drink here? Okay.
From his personal business.
But listen, Daniel, I know you're doing your job. Please don't touch me as I try to walk out.
I'm not touching you.
Okay.
I just
to
check the camera and delete.
Excuse me. You guys have a nice day. I wish to leave, and I wish you not to put your hands on me.
Now, right after that video was shot was when the arrest actually took place. And keep in mind, the conference hasn't even started yet, so it's a chilling effect, trying to keep the media away. They're blacking out the windows. We'll show you that report here in a little bit. This is just the complete police state surrounding Bilderberg 2014. And if you're asking yourself, what's the big deal about this Bilderberg conference? Well, take this into account. You have people like Bill Clinton and also President Obama, who were neither presidents at the time of their initial attendance at Bilderberg. They go to Bilderberg in the next election cycles for them respectively. They both become the president of the United States. And you may say, hey, that's just a coincidence. You know, it's no big deal. It's nothing to see here. Well, stay tuned, because at the end of the show, we'll have a John Bound retrospective, Bilderberg retrospective, talking about the history of the conference so you can find out everything that you want to know. Snowden is a national security state asset. This is an article by Kurt Nimmo, Infowars.com. Edward Snowden told Brian Williams and NBC Nightly News he's a trained intelligence operative who worked for the CIA, NSA, and DIA.
I was trained as a spy in sort of the traditional sense of the word, in that I lived and worked undercover. I've worked for the Central Intelligence Agency, undercover, overseas. I've worked for the National Security Agency, undercover, overseas. So when they say I'm a low-level systems administrator, that I don't know what I'm talking about, I'd say it's somewhat misleading.
And regardless what you think about these whistleblowers, guys like Snowden, Manning, Assange, you know, I think the mainstream media does dole these guys out as they think the populace can handle it. That's why you don't see these sit-down interviews straight up after the whistle is blown. They wait a while and they say, okay, maybe it's more digestible. Maybe we can handle the information more coming out. But I don't think every whistleblower is necessarily, you know, some inside guy there to acclimate the people to the information. They could be. I'm not ruling that out, but I don't say that every time somebody comes out and blows the whistle about the information. I'm just happy that the information is out there in general, especially when you look at guys like Manning, who's probably going to be in jail for a little while, so I don't think that guy was so much controlled opposition. Now, we're talking about guys like Manning. Let's talk about the people who are active duty in the military, because everybody in the military doesn't get treated, you know, like the princes of gold that the TV would have you believe, because you turn on a football game, a basketball game, a baseball game. We love the troops, all these commercials, and the kids run out on the halftime and they hug their dad or hug their mom. But let's see what's actually happening in the military today. VA cops stomped on veteran's head, killing him. On May 25th, 2011, Jonathan Montano, age 65, was waiting several hours to undergo dialysis treatment at the Loma Linda VA facility when he grew frustrated, reports Courthouse News Service. With an IV still in his arm, Montano made his way toward the hospital exit. And then it says, The summoned VA police officers then stopped Jonathan Montano from leaving the VA hospital in Loma Linda by tackling him to the floor, slamming his head on the floor, and kneeing him and stomping on his neck, and otherwise brutalizing and restraining him, the reports say. And also, Montano died several weeks after the stroke on June 11th, 2011. So they beat the guy to the point where he had a stroke, and then they say he died from the stroke some weeks later. And these are your military veterans, your heroes, so to speak. And regardless if you agree with everything the troops do, because I don't think it's great that they're out there growing opium in Afghanistan, but I don't blame the troops. I blame the top brass and whoever else who's giving these orders, these very unconstitutional orders. That's who I blame, not the soldiers themselves. But looking at this incident, if you get into the military and you think, well, if I get in the military, I'll be set for life. They'll pay for my school. They'll pay for my health care, which is a joke, and we'll talk more about that in our next story. You're not treated very well when you come back here to the States, so I definitely would take this into advisement. Anybody in the active military, anybody who's a veteran, fight for your benefits, but also don't let these people corrupt you while you're in the military by doing all these unconstitutional things, because when it all comes down, they're not going to take care of you, or they're going to take care of you all right. They're going to beat you to death so you don't get your benefits. Now, moving on to another thing concerning our military, trouble adjusting to sexual assault may be getting U.S. military members booted without VA benefits. Are dodgy diagnoses being used to save the military money on mental health care? That's the charge from some legislators and activists who say U.S. service members with post-traumatic stress disorder are being diagnosed and discharged for, quote, adjustment disorder instead. And that is especially true for those who report being sexually assaulted. So here's the situation. You're a combat veteran. Maybe you're a little shell-shocked when you come back from overseas, or lo and behold, you're sexually assaulted in the military. You go talk to the guidance counselor, whoever it is that you talk to, and they say, I don't really think that you have PTSD. I don't think you need any military benefits. You just have a problem adjusting to the military way of life. I didn't know being traumatized for the rest of your life was part of the military experience, but that's what they would have you to believe. It's another way they want to dodge giving our military veterans the care that they deserve. We hear reports about the White House saying that they learned about these reports from watching TV. Is anybody going to take care of these veterans? Our very own Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs goes to the VA with internal bleeding, a combat veteran. They say, come back in July. And he's sitting there in the chair talking to the guy, the VA guy, and he says, I'm bleeding right now as I'm sitting in this chair. He said, yeah, I understand. Just come back in July. This is how your military veterans are being treated. So once again, as I always say to the military, to the police, if you're DEA, ATF, FBI, whatever, if you go out and carry on these unconstitutional orders and these people will take care of you, proof positive. If you let them do this to the veterans, if you let them fill on the little kids at the airport and think that they're going to come in on a white horse and save you, you are very much mistaken. FBI agent, synthetic biology could reduce our population. The New York Times reported one of the law enforcement speakers at the MIT conference was an FBI agent, Carmine Negro. He was quoted by the Times as saying regarding synthetic biology, these technologies do not just pose a risk to the individual buildings or cities, but if cleverly deployed, can reduce our population by significant percentages. Synthetic biology, according to a 2005 European Commission paper, is the engineering of biology, the synthesis of complex biologically based or inspired systems which display functions that do not exist in nature. And you say, what's an example of this? Such as the glow-in-the-dark cats or the spider ghosts. These things that are very much real that don't exist in nature. So what's going to happen when these jellyfish-infused cats start mating with other cats? What's going to happen when these spider goats start mating with other spider goats, or just spider goats? I don't know what kind of goats we're going to have by the time this thing is all said and done. You have mountain goats having sex with these spider goats. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to end up. But this is the thing that they want to do. They want to pretty much pollute the existent stream of things made by God and replace them with things made by man. And anything made by man is quite prone to problems, but this is the world that they want to do. And it's not specifically with this gentleman. He's not specifically talking about the things I just mentioned, but it does not exclude those things. So you have to be very careful when you introduce things into a system that's not made for those, something man-made, and then you introduce it into wildlife. It can very much be a negative effect. And our last story for the night before we go to some more Bilderberg coverage, 3 Chinese nuclear missile submarines are photographed in the South China Sea. And it says China has deployed 3 nuclear-armed ballistic missile submarines to a naval base in the South China Sea, according to a recent photograph of the vessels that appeared on the internet. These are the words of Admiral Samuel Locklear. He said China's advance in submarine capabilities is significant. They possess a large and increasingly capable submarine force. China continues the production of ballistic missile submarines. This will give China its first credible sea-based nuclear deterrent, probably before the end of 2014. So I know it's not as exciting as the villain at the end of the new X-Men movie, but this is some stuff that you probably want to know about, because if it sneaks up on you, you're not exactly going to know what to do. And you say, hey, why didn't anybody tell me about this in the news? If it was in the news, it has to be important, right? Well, I guess you just have to base on where you get your news source. And speaking of our news source, if you want to support this broadcast and you want to see more of this type of news, you need to go to prisonplanet.tv and get yourself a 15-day free trial. You can get the Alex Jones Show, the nightly news, the special reports, the rants, and so much more at prisonplanet.tv. Now stay tuned, because after this break, we'll have more special reports. We'll have David Knight and Paul Joseph Watson there on the scene in Copenhagen at the Bilderberg Conference. Now, they're just on the grounds of the facility. They're walking around. They encounter the security. They say, we don't want you guys out here. We don't want you to look in a window and see something that we don't want you to see. Lo and behold, somebody looks in the window, or somebody looks out the window. So we'll show you that report and also more special reports. This is the INFOWARS Nightly News. This is what your prisonplanet.tv subscription helps you get and helps us fund our broadcast. So stay tuned right after this for more special reports.
My friends, Alex Jones here to tell you about some of the most important information concerning you and your family's health. Radiation levels have more than doubled in the last 60 years in the Northern Hemisphere from all of the nuclear testing and radiological accidents. Radioactive contamination is now in most of the food supply. There's only two ways to avoid this. Move south of the equator or properly protect your thyroid with nascent iodine. Looking to protect my family, I've done deep research. Nascent iodine is the purest, cleanest, absolute best form of iodine to protect yourself and your family. It's made right here in the USA, completely non-GMO. I searched out the best quality and now have developed a double-strength form of nascent iodine, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Nascent iodine is on record as one of the only safe ways to detox from fluoride poisoning. Survival Shield Nascent Iodine. Secure your super high-quality nascent iodine today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com. The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula, sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com.
Here it comes! Dan Badandi for the INFOWARS Nightly News. Memorial Day, a day where the public gathers to honor the fallen heroes and veterans who served in the armed forces. But what if they were to become aware that our own government is now classifying and targeting returning veterans as domestic terrorists? We're in North Providence, Rhode Island at a Memorial Day parade to find out. Okay, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
Memorial Day is just remembering our heroes.
It's an appreciation to all our vets that lost their lives.
It's to celebrate our veterans.
It's all about our veterans.
Well, I'm a veteran myself of 23 years, and yeah, it means a lot.
Yes, I'm a veteran, Vietnam era.
So you know what Memorial Day means to you then?
Yes, Memorial Day is the memory and us remembering the fallen soldiers.